Hey guys, it's Ralph Sacchetto again today. Hi, how you doing? I'm reaching out to you from my studio, and today I wanted to talk to you about. I've been sort of prefacing a little bit. I've been putting it on my Patreon, and for those who've seen it, been talking about wanting to show you how I do comics. So I get I'm not really a comic book artist per se in the sense that that's all I do, but I get jobs every once in a while to do comics. I've done my own comic, Cape Fear. If you've heard of that, if you've heard of my first massive graphic novel, 150 pages, it's a horror sort of. It's a horror, fantasy, sci-fi type. I like, if you've been to my Patreon page, if you kind of know my art and everything, you pretty much know that I like, all of those genre things like horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and all that. And when given the chance, I like to meld it all together. So, it's not always just, for me, it's not always just zombies. I like to sort of twist the genre a little bit, or add different genres to the horror genre, the zombie genre, do a Star Wars take on zombies, or cartoon character take on zombies and things like that. I like to use that horror genre and put it into different things. So when I do, if I'm going to do my own comic, it's going to be, a twist of various different things. It's not going to be just horror. It's not going to be just science fiction. It's not going to be just fantasy. Those elements sort of always intertwine for me, and I love it when they do. The Cape Fear graphic novel was my first foray, really, into doing my own. Pro comic. I've done comics before a lot. When I was younger, I did a whole series of comics. I'll show, I'll post some of that stuff on my Patreon too for you guys to check out, because virtually, I would hazard to guess at this point, thousands of pages, of stuff. Not all of it good, of course, because it was done when I was a lot younger. In fact, the Cape Fear comic itself, the graphic novel itself, went through many different phases. I think I completed the entire story in different ways, three times, in its entirety, and then scrapped everything, and then did it again. Did it better. I wanted to do it better and better and better each time, and I was never really satisfied with it. Judging from stuff I've seen, really, that's been printed out there, it would have passed muster, but it wasn't good enough for me. So I wanted to really, if it was going to be something that it was all mine and I put my name to it, I really wanted it to be like the best I could do, and it's still. When I look at Cape Fear, Power Struggle, the first Cape Fear graphic novel I did, I'm very proud of it. I still love it. It's not something I kind of look at and go, ooh, I wince at, type of thing. So, no, I really like it. So, so I get comic book jobs. It doesn't matter what type of comic book job I get. I basically approach it the same way. So what I'm going to show you is my way of doing it. It might be very primitive. It might be something so obvious that everybody's doing it. I don't really know a lot of people's process. Comic book, the pros that do comics, I don't really know their process that much. I don't really read up on stuff like that. I kind of just do things. I don't know if that's good or bad. I've kind of shaved the time down as much as I could to create the most simple, easy, basic way to create a comic. And so what basically happens is, what happens is I got the script, I get a script. Doesn't really matter what type of script it is. This was a very easy script to work from because it was like, okay, this is panel page so-and-so, panel so-and-so, this is what's going on in it. Here's the dialogue, so leave enough sort of room for that. So I get the script. Script is a few pages long. This was just recently. I just finished this comic, I think last Monday, a week ago today. So so here's the script, and it's a few pages. It's, I don't know, a couple pages long, a few pages long there, 10, 15, or whatever. So I get the script. It says, like I said, it says what's going on in the panel. So what I do is I break it down into pages. So this is one page here. I don't know if you can see that well. This is one page. This is another page. And I break it up into all the panels that it needs to be. And then I just look at what the person wants in that panel and draw it. I know that sounds very simple, but again, it's a matter of really getting everything to balance and fit the right way and read properly. I always try to give the characters a bit of a backstory beyond the script that I'm getting. You know what? It really doesn't matter what I'm getting paid to do it, what the deadline is, or any of the extenuating circumstances beyond the fact of me having to draw it. I try to really do my best, and given whatever circumstances, like deadline and things of that nature. So I really try to do my best, even if sometimes it's not worth it, quote, worth it, or it kills me type of thing. It takes years, it takes months or whatever off my life. I can't really help that. I have to put in my best as much as I can. So okay, so here here's that, and what basically these pages are a ratio of 11 by 17 with borders. So what I do with these is I blow each one up to 11 by 17, okay, because that's going to be the final, that's going to be the size I do the actual final artwork on. I blow it up to 11 by 17, then I use this, I use the enlarged pages like this as an underlay on my light table, and I put some nice comic book Bristol board on top, this kind of stuff here, this Bristol, and I basically trace my roughs. So the roughs are traced, and I pencil them in, and then I ink them. And here's like one of the pages here, so you can see this page here is this page right here. If you can see that, hopefully you can see that. And it's very similar. I've kept the same actions and stuff going because that's basically what it's supposed to be. I don't want to change it too much. And then the inking process, of course. So I ink it up and do the best of my ability. That's it. Like, I mean, all the other stuff, all of the word balloons and everything go in afterwards. That happens in post, but by computer and everything now. In the old days, I would have actually drawn the word balloons and everything, maybe even lettered it. But that's very time consuming for an artist to do. And it's that's another talent altogether. Like, you have to be pretty adept at doing that stuff as well. So I kind of stick with the just the artwork, and I mean that's all that's really required of me, for this job anyway. Here's another page. Again, here's another page, and this is this page right here. I hope you can see that. So this is another page, and the finished pencil and inks done, and this would have been the original page right here. So you can see that. Very similar. And that's to me, that's the fastest way of doing it. You'd be surprised how quickly you can get, and how quickly and accurately you can get your roughs down. And then, if you want to tighten them up, if you even want to like lightly or quickly and lightly ink those roughs to kind of tighten them up a little bit, so when they're enlarged they stay sort of tight. Do that too, whatever kind of works for you. I've kind of done that actually here a little bit, tighten them up a little bit, and they're fairly tight for me because if I was giving this to someone else, if I was the penciler, for example, and I was giving it to someone else to ink, I might more completely do the pencils, but I kind of know in my mind where my black spotting is going and everything. So, I mean, when you have the page done, there's a lot to the actual art itself to make it work. I'm just showing you the process of how I do it. The art itself is another thing altogether, in the sense that, how I formulate foreground, background, and how I actually do the backgrounds, why I put, a certain black area where it is, and how things work on the page. That's a whole other, I guess, vodcast, I would say. But for now, that's just basically the process. So I go from the script to the roughs and layouts on just this is just an 8.5 by 11, I think, sheet. So I just cut her in half and do it in ratio to 11 by 17, which is what the art the finished art's going to be. It's larger, so that when it's shrunk down, it gets tighter, nicer, crisper. You can afford to be a little looser with your inks and pencils and stuff. I mean, I like to stay fairly tight. A lot of artists stay really tight with their pencils and inks and everything. But, you could get a little looser, and, when it's shrunk down, you do the art a little larger. It's like maybe 30%, I think, larger. I can't remember the exact ratio now, but when it's shrunk down, it gets nice and crisp. So that's an advantage there, too. So, yeah, that's basically it, guys. It's very simple. My process is very quick and simple. With comics, oftentimes you have to be very quick in how you're doing them because of deadlines. It's always better to have a quick process, at least anyway, because you never know when you're going to get a job like that. It'll just come out of the blue, and it's like, unless you're working for a company like Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, or whatever, they'll probably give you plenty of time in advance. I know probably a lot of comic book pros out there are laughing right now at me, just saying that. But I'm assuming they give you at least a little bit of more forewarning than a lot of stuff that I've done, because it's been kind of, super quick. We need this done. The job I just did, on the other hand, that I had quite a bit of time to do. I wanted to get it done quickly. I like to get things done quickly anyway. I like to produce lots of art. I've got lots of ideas. I've got lots of things I want to do. I have lots of fan requests and stuff that I really want to get to and things like that. So my speed at doing art is as fast as I can do it with as good as I can do it. So I try not to sacrifice quality for quantity. But at the same time, I'm not going to spend a month on a drawing if it's going to be on my daily Patreon page. So the Patreon page, by the way, new art every day, and there's thousands of pieces on there. Please help support my Patreon if you can. I would be very grateful if you could do that. More tips, more process stuff, vodcasts that I'm going to be doing. So if you can help me out, just even $1 a month, just to get the things going, new art and vodcasts and tips, and I'm going to do tutorials and stuff like that too, of course. It all helps, it really does, because I'm doing this kind of stuff for free, basically.